when the world gets in my way, I need to make a getaway. So I ride down that old dirt road, the same place I always go. It does a soul good sometimes to be alone from time to time. Take the time and let it all go. Watch the world go by real slow.
And welcome back, everybody, to Last Hobo's Ramble. I'm John.
I'm Adam.
And we're the Last Hobos. So we got a little bit of stuff to talk about this morning. Not a tremendous amount. It's been kind of slow. I think if it's okay, I would like to start off with a little bit of history, Adam. Today is the September the 3rd, and on this day in 1895, William Carroll Crawford. Do you know who that is? No, you don't.
I don't know who it is.
The last surviving signer of the Texas Declaration of Independence died while visiting his son in Erath County. Crawford, a native of North Carolina, had moved to Texas in 1835 and settled near Shelbyville, so one county up. He and Sidney O. Pennington represented Shelby County at the convention in 1836, which wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution for the Republic of Texas, and established the ad interim government. Crawford, who had lived near in Camp Hill in Johnson counties, died 10 days before his 91st birthday. The last living signer of the Texas Declaration of Independence died on this day in 1895. So, probably was a momentous occasion at that time. So, and I'd probably heard his name before. Matter of fact, I've got a book. I ain't gonna dig it out right now, but it's about the signers of the Declaration.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't, it's kind of shocking that he was from Shelby County and just being the next county over. So I thought that was pretty awesome. So some news about Texas today or this weekend. I got a call from RIE Auctions. You're familiar with them?
Mhm.
Rock Island Auction Company.
Yep.
Auctions off the gun collections. They're the ones where you see Ernest Hemingway's double rifles going to be sold, things like that. Now, they do have common guns, but mostly they're high-end guns. And you and I have talked for a long time. We go up to Oklahoma to Tulsa, usually in the fall, to the largest gun show in the world, Wanamaker Show. We've talked about it on the way up there before. It just kind of seems odd that Texas doesn't own that title as having the largest gun show in the world. But I guess Joe Wanamaker got out and hustled, and he really, it's a great show. I can't take nothing from him. It's a great show. 11 acres under roof. And you and I've gone several times, and we've always had a good time there. But I got a call from RIA Auctions, who was usually at that show. They usually have a massive booth set up showing upcoming auctions. And they were telling me that, they want to let me know they had 2 auctions coming up, one this month, one next month. And then they were saying that to let me know that in December they would be opening an auction house in Denton, Texas. And I can't remember if they bought an old wall or leased. I don't know if they bought it or leased it, but they're going to be in either an old Walmart or an old Walmart warehouse. And so it's going to be pretty good size. You'll be able to go up and actually look at the guns before you bid on them. And, it'll be more of a paddle bid where you raise your hand. Still have to compete with people on the internets and things like that. But I think it'll bring a lot of tax revenue and such to Texas anyway, which, more money, more better, right?
They always have some pretty cool stuff too.
Yeah, I mean they have things that you don't normally see, and they'll have a documented history on gun, a certain gun or sword, or who it belonged to, or I'm trying to think of some of the stuff they've had before. Just amazing, you know.
They definitely end up with some stuff that you got to have some money if you want to play. Most of the time. But,
Right. Well, and you and I've talked about that before. That those auctions are for people who have real deep pockets most of the time. But one thing people don't think about is if you go to an auction like that, and let's say it's 600 guns, and they're high, or let's call it their crown jewel. Their crown jewel is a rare Beretta. Beretta says they've been making guns for 400 years, and nobody argues with them. So I guess it may be true. But let's say they got a 300-year-old Beretta there, and that's their crown jewel. Well, what people don't realize is most of the people there are there to watch or bid on that. So when the guy brings out the Colt Series 80 Double Eagle 10 millimeter, it's probably not going to set a new record. You can buy that gun for, I would say, market value, and sometimes a little bit under. So, if you're into the modern guns, they don't bring as much attention there. They're usually just filler for a lot of these people with huge gun collections. So, might be a way to increase your collection, get some top quality guns, and it's a lot of fun going to auctions. Unless you go to the one that we went to that time in Nacogdoches.
yeah.
That one was not fun for me.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not as much fun when you have stuff in the auction.
No, no.
That filler spot is my sweet spot. It's my cheapo sweet spot, man.
I kind of like it myself. I love I can buy 1911s at decent prices.
The only place I can afford to be.
Well, at one time, the first generation single action Colt Army was a new gun, and it didn't have any collector's value then. So, what I say is we may be like future collections. I don't know if that's a term or not, but what we buy now is probably not got a great value in collector's value, but in the end of our life or our children's life, it will be. So, and plus, we take our guns out, even the ones that have historic value and stuff, we take out and shoot, at least once a year or something, and try to enjoy them. Because I don't really get that much enjoyment from them hanging on the wall.
Yeah, I could tell a story here.
Go ahead.
I could tell.
Go ahead. Here it comes.
So at one point, John had this beautiful Texas edition Kimber.
Here it comes.
What were the grips made out of, John?
Oh, I think they were just some kind of resin grips, but they look like ivory, I think.
They had an ivory look on one side, if I'm not mistaken. It had the Texas Star on the other side. It didn't have Come and Take It.
Yeah.
It had the Gonzales flag there on the other side. It was 1 in 500.
1 in 50.
1 in 50. Oh, I thought that was the Raptor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
1 in 50. So John's got it on the table.
I'll be back. I gotta go get the salt.
All right.
Pour it all over this wound.
John's got it on the table at the gun show. This guy comes by that's been by before, always has pockets full of money, and he falls in love with this gun. And John's selling it, right? And the whole time, as long as we've had it on the table, we've both always just kind of loved this gun. This guy says, I want it. And I think he shelled out almost $3,000 right there in cash. We're finishing up paperwork, He gets approved, pack all of his stuff up, hand it across the table to him. He looks up at John and says, "Y'all have any ammunition for this?" And John's face falls.
Probably about like right now.
Expect it. Yeah, he did not expect it. He said, "What do you need ammunition for?" "I'm fixing to go shoot it." And poor John was traumatized.
Yeah, 1 in 50.
Yeah, well, wow.
Wow.
Like you said, at that point, it was his gun.
Yeah, it was his gun. I finally kind of settled on that, but it really didn't make me feel that much better, you know. So I just, yeah, sometimes those things happen, don't they?
Yep.
Well, do you remember, since we're telling gun stories here, you remember when we were up at Tulsa at the Wanamaker show? And we walked by a guy, he had I can't remember if it was a model, I think it was a Model 12 Winchester shotgun. It was a riot gun, and it had the metal plate on the butt stock where it was a Folsom Prison shotgun. It had the, yeah, and I said, "Oh man, we'll come back and let's come back and I'm gonna get that gun or look at that gun seriously." And we walked around that dang floor for how long the next day, and we couldn't find that gun. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, yeah, it happens, man. It happens. So, hey, man, RIE's auctions is coming to Denton, so that's a good thing. I think maybe me and you run up there in December, Adam. We'll both be broke by then by Christmas, but hey,
That's right.
they don't know that, do they?
Might have to buy Adam and John Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. That will be our Christmas if we go.
Yeah, just a trip.
Just a trip.
Just a trip.
Yeah, but it'll be a good time. So, but yeah, guns. It's one of our hobbies there, I guess. So, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that, Adam. You want to go ahead and break the sad news that anybody might not have heard?
Yeah, it is sad. One of my favorites over the years. Jimmy Buffett passed away. Would have been on the 1st, on the night of the 1st, right? Said he passed away peacefully in his sleep. But you talk about a guy there, pretty humble beginnings. Mom and dad worked in a shipyard when he was growing up. He was a Gulf Coast guy from around Mobile. Famous for beach tunes, more light-hearted fare, right? Margaritaville probably was the most popular.
I dare say it's, if I can interrupt when you said that, I dare say it's probably one of the most popular songs and well-recognized songs in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that can't sing it, man.
You're right.
So we played a little Jimmy Buffett around the house yesterday morning, just to enjoy it. One of my favorite songs that he does is "Come Monday."
You know what? I think that's one of everybody's favorites.
Yep, and that was probably one of his first hits.
I think it might have been his first hit. That's what I read.
I think I watched a interview or something yesterday with David Letterman, and he was talking about
yes,
how that all came about. I mean, just a fun guy from all accounts. I don't really. It's just a sad deal. It seems like it was really unexpected. So, I mean, nobody really has any details yet.
Now you got to go a couple years ago, you and Amber, to see Jimmy Buffett, right?
Yep, and this guy can pack out a stadium.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hey, and you know what? Not just a music guy. He was an author.
I was going to, yeah.
A couple of his books, Salty, I think it's a Salty Piece of Land, and he had a book of short stories that was really good.
That was probably my favorite. I love the short stories.
The short story book, Tales from Margaritaville,
Margaritaville. Mm-hmm.
and I like to read, but it's a really good, lighthearted read.
It was a fun read for me, you know.
Some of the stories are hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny what people take lines from movies. You and I do a lot of movie lines in our conversation in daily life. We'll quote Lonesome Dove or Quigley Down Under or something to break the tension or something when we're talking sometimes, or whatever you want to call it. We do that. A lot of people, you'll notice on Suits, if you've gotten very far in Suits, they do that a lot. What's his name? Harvey and Mike. They quote a lot of movie quotes. But there's a thing that I remember taking quotes from the Tales from Margaritaville and using some of those. Like one of my favorites is when somebody sees a snake. I don't call them snakes. That's Mr. No Shoulders. Because he had a story in there, and there was an old black man, and that's what the old black man called him, Mr. No Shoulders. And from that day forward, when we talk, you probably heard me say, "Oh, there's Mr. No Shoulders." Funny how those things stay with you. Jimmy Buffett will probably be remembered better than you and I'll ever be able to memorialize him.
Yeah, I've always liked this song, Pirate Looks at 40. And then
yes.
Whew. And now that I'm starting to look at 40,
starting to see some truisms.
Smacks a little different, man.
Yeah.
Of course, we like being on the water and fishing, and
yeah.
We definitely like margaritas.
Well, you and I both are kind of the same mindset. We like that that salty life he lived. He was kind of an old saltiness. He was not a fake at all about being on the water. He had boats. He sailed all over. He was an avid sailor. He flew his own airplane. He had a seaplane. As a matter of fact, he crashed it one time and almost died, almost drowned in it. When he talks about fishing, he was a true fisherman. He truly loved the beach and the water. And you and I love the same stuff as he to me is in the same vein as a Hemingway, where he wrote what he knew. He loved the life that he lived, and it's that life that really got him in the end. I was reading that he had skin cancer that had turned into lymphoma.
Yep.
And, but such a talent. And strange how you come to know these people or we feel like we know them, but how you come to be aware of them. I listened to Jimmy Buffett for a while, I guess since I was in high school. And I remember when I really got into Jerry Jeff Walker, there was a song called Railroad Lady, about a lady that one time she was the belle of the ball, and now she's just an older lady and she still rides the trains. But anyway, Jimmy Buffett and Jerry Jeff Walker wrote that song together. But they wrote it on the last train that ran from New Orleans to somewhere on the last trip it made. And Jerry Jeff Walker tells a story at the beginning of the song. So it's kind of how did you become aware of so-and-so's music? Those two introduced us into so many other people's music. I would have never known who Keith Sykes was if it wasn't for Jimmy Buffett. Mac McAnally was in Jimmy Buffett's band, which I knew who Mac McAnally was because of, he's a great songwriter probably before then. But I don't know, man. It's like they said in that Eagles documentary, everyone has a memory of what their life was or was not that may or may not have happened while listening to Jimmy Buffett, you know. So, you know, he always made me want to be a pirate again. Some kids wanted to be a fireman growing up and things like that. I always thought the pirates were cool. So,
One of our favorites, Guy Clark, didn't necessarily want to be a huge star with all the stuff that comes along with that, but an excellent songwriter nonetheless, uh, and performer in his own right. But Jimmy Buffett took boats to build, right, and
mm-hmm.
exposed a whole different group of people to Guy Clark.
Absolutely.
We think about Guy, we think more about mellow and really thoughtful songs, and that was one of them. But it also had that wistful Jimmy Buffett beach life kind of tone to it throughout, and so it's pretty good. And one of my favorite songs that Jimmy Buffett did was one of Mac McAnally's songs. It was "My Job." This is my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Talking about the song that Conway Twitty had recorded also.
yeah. It talks about
being a father.
Well, yeah, and just whatever your job is, you do your best to do your best, right, and not shirk your responsibilities there. Of course, probably a lot easier to do that when you're living that life. But Jimmy had an interesting life, and the last couple decades here, he's been able to live a very comfortable life based on his marketing prowess. And, I mean, you can just tell he was a successful guy. he marketed himself in ways some of the other ones really haven't been able to do. I mean, let's face it, right? You'd rather go stay at the Margaritaville Resort than go whatever.
Right. Than Jack Binion's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers Chicken didn't make it. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Hey, you're right. And I was going to get some articles put together about it, but once upon a time in Hemphill here, we had a huge restaurant, and it was called Twitty Burgers, and it came in right after the lake opened or filled up, and or about that time, and it was owned by Conway Twitty. I think it was one of two restaurants that he owned, and it had a Twitty bird with a guitar on it singing on the sign. And hey, don't laugh, man. They had a Twitty burger there. You got a hamburger with a fried pineapple ring on top of it.
Nice.
And that was awesome, for a kid. Oh, that was, But anyway, so entertainers are always looking for ways to invest money, and Buffett really capitalized on his name and his. I'll say this: his fame. He probably did more with one or two hit songs than anybody in the history of music. Because if you look at his catalog, he had great songs, but they just weren't chart-topping songs most of the time. They were good songs for common people. If you go to his concert, people dressed up. Other than going to a Kiss concert, I would say you're probably going to be more at people dressed up for the concert to fit the artist than any other group out there.
I mean, when we went, it was at Cynthia Woods in the Woodlands. Man, you couldn't move. The lawn was packed. That's what Amber was. Well, at least we got to see him. At least we think that was him.
Right.
I mean, you weren't getting. You were at the very back, but once again, I mean, it was still an excellent concert.
Well,
Go for the experience. And John's right. People bring their RVs or would bring their RVs and tailgate for Jimmy Buffett for
yes,
weeks.
like a football game.
Yeah, for weeks
Yeah.
before he got there.
Uh, and Jimmy Buffett is why when I think about music, what makes music so great, I think there's two people I think of. One of them's Phil Collins, and the other one's Jimmy Buffett. And kind of give me a little leeway on this, but if you take a look at either one of them, they're both about the same stature. They were both short, not very big people. They were both not the normal good-looking rock star frontmen that you're used to seeing. Both balding or bald, if you want to go there, and yet people packed in to see them and hear them. It wasn't like you going to see David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar. Not that I got anything against them. Those great front men. But you take these guys, and the music's what made them stars. You know it. They didn't have the style and the people dressing them and things like that. I mean, shoot, you look like Jimmy Buffett got up and picked a shirt up off the floor to go to his own concert, right? So that's kind of what made him a cool guy to me.
That's the thing, though. I think that's some of his allure. He's more like every man's uncle.
Yeah.
Right? He's that uncle you had growing up that was just a fun guy. Probably didn't have a job much of the time, but he always had something fun going.
But he always had a little money in his pocket, and he had a line on something coming up, right?
That's right. That's right.
So,
and hey, we're not big Kenny Chesney fans. I'm not. For sure.
Yeah. We'll let you cover that.
But look what Jimmy did for those guys. I mean, he kind of pioneered a beach country vibe there. So,
Kenny Chesney owes Jimmy Buffett everything. This is my opinion, but he owes him everything because he stole his show.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. He stole his life, man.
I mean, Kenny Chesney's like great value Jimmy Buffett.
Right.
He's the off-brand Jimmy Buffett.
Yep.
I mean, he got the idea and he got the flavor, but it still ain't. It still don't taste right for those of us who grew up on Jimmy.
Right. So it's going to be a great loss to the music community. Great loss to his family and friends. Like I said, I don't know him, but I can imagine he was a pretty cool guy, like you said. And, those guys are going to be missed amongst their family and friends more than we'll ever know. If y'all don't have Jimmy Buffett album, Changes in Attitude, Changes in Latitude.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. What is it? The box set was Boats, Beaches, and Bar Stools or something?
I think so.
Something like that. I can't remember, but the box set's a good one. If you want to get something a little different, maybe to get your feet wet into Jimmy Buffett, if you're a younger person listening, which I doubt there are any, I would go and get the George Strait, Alan Jackson, Jimmy Buffett Live at Texas Stadium album. It's a good album. They sing songs with each other. It's got this, Jimmy does. I believe Jimmy and Alan do Boats to Build on there?
I can't remember which one.
I can't either, but it's a good one.
There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun songs on that.
Yeah, the one.
Murder on Music Row's on there.
Yeah.
Honk If You're Honky Tonk's on there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of good ones. I wish I'd have been at that show.
Oh, I do too. And we always think that the little stories between the songs are cool, and just some of the remarks they make at each other when they do Murder on Music Row. I think George said something like, I wanted to sing on that was it something Tater song, but he
Yeah.
wouldn't let me.
Yep.
Alan wouldn't let me. So
Yep.
just and seeing Alan Jackson stand next to Jimmy Buffett's kind of comical in itself. You know,
That's definitely a juxtaposition there.
yeah,
Traditionally handsome versus beach bum.
that's right. But
But
I'll say that the Beach Bum hung in there with two of the greatest country musicians that day.
well,
No matter what,
there's no getting around his talent at all. I mean, he was.
he's there. I watched the thing on him one time. I think it's 60 Minutes, Adam, and they were talking to him and said, you you kind of put yourself down that you're not a very good guitar player. And he goes, oh, I suck. And they go, well, you do good for it. He goes, no, man, I'm not. I'm a horrible guitar player. He said, they go, well, if you could play guitar or somehow, who would you like to play guitar like? He's like, you know what, man? You know, maybe if I could play guitar like Eric Clapton. And he goes, but then again, maybe Eric Clapton wishes he could cast a fly line like me. But hey, it's all in perspective, man. So he had a good idea, but they brought up a point that, you're talking about opening up a Cheeseburgers in Paradise. That don't just happen. We get the feeling there's a napkin somewhere with a bunch of numbers written down, and you realize how many people's in your fan base and what percentage you have to draw in there. And he goes, well, you got to do your research. And I'm paraphrasing, but he didn't just jump into things. So, and that's what makes it kind of strange. He was a good businessman also.
Yeah, smart business guy. Like I said, I'd rather hang out at Margaritaville and have margarita or like Cheeseburger in Paradise. Is that a real restaurant?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd eat there for sure. I love cheeseburgers.
I've eaten at Cheeseburgers in Paradise. I've eaten at Margaritavilles. I mean, they're all cool in their own way,
Hey, and we were fans of Land Shark beer. I mean,
yeah,
I was excited when Land Shark beer came out.
Yeah, I think I still like Land Shark.
Yeah. Yeah. I just.
So,
we really did appreciate the guy and his music, and I certainly respect his business acumen there. But just a sad day yesterday. I know my Facebook feed's full of it.
yeah, and I'm sure in a day or two we'll probably start to wane off, but
they had a very classy post on his website. When I first saw it, the first thing you have to do now is you got to go verify that that's actually something that's legit, right? So, and of course you go over and this on the front page it was a real heartfelt, pleasant announcement of it. Died peacefully, basically in his sleep, which, hey, that's the way I think everybody would prefer to go.
And they said they called in hospice about a week ago. And if people don't know, hospice is that's an end of life care. They'll come in and help take care of your relatives who are at the end of their life, usually in their last days. And it's not a money thing. A lot of people think it's for poor people or something, and it's not necessarily. It's if you want to keep your loved one at home most of the time, and they'll come by and administer the meds and explain to you what's going on with them, and they do a great job. Those people that do that, they're a real blessing to everyone. So, if somebody that does that, just maybe give them a thank you every now and then, because it's a hard job. When you go to work knowing your job, somebody's going to pass away, that's pretty rough. So, but yeah, hopefully, from knowing a little bit about the hospice situation, he was probably very comfortable and surrounded by his loved ones. And you hate to say it, but I would dare say that a lot of his friends have done gone on. I know he was friends with Guy Clark, Jerry Jeff Walker, a lot of guys we like. And, those guys are getting really, really thin anymore. So you kind of pulled old George Jones out and say who's going to fill their shoes. But I gotta go with nobody. Nobody's really stepping up, in my opinion, to fill any of these legend shoes. So,
Well, and man, I have a hard time. It's like I just said, I'm not a Kenny Chesney fan. But am I not a Kenny Chesney fan because I like Jimmy Buffett and it just never caught on? Or I have to look at myself a lot of times. I'll say this. When it comes right down to it, and John and I both know who I'm talking about, even Leon liked Jimmy.
yeah.
So,
Well, there you go. I don't really know. I don't guess I know anybody that didn't like Jimmy Buffett. I can't think of one person that I ever was.
I've met a few people, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know when the last time is I've talked to those people. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
You don't need that in your life, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
You
That's
know.
a level of negativity that transcends anything I want to be part of.
Yeah, you don't need that kind of stuff in your life. You get around somebody that don't like Jimmy Buffett, you don't need that. Move on. Find people that love Jimmy Buffett and love good music, love a good time. Because that's all that was he was there to make sure you had a good time. And he did everywhere he went, man. Like you said, it was just a big beach party, Everybody was in Hawaiian shirts and shorts and funky hats like I wear, and they, out there hitting beach volleyballs around or beach balls around, and singing along and just having a good time, man.
I'm pretty sure while I was there was a skunk or something loose in the audience.
You were sitting up close to the, wasn't y'all up on the grass up there?
Yeah, we were definitely up there on
The grassy knoll.
On the grassy knoll at Cynthia Woods. They have a lawn
It's
where you can
kind of known for if you're going to smoke pot, that's where you sit.
Well, unfortunately.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest with everybody. I've never sat up there. I've been a couple.
I assure you this: there was no sitting. You could not sit anywhere.
Well, that's why, and that's another reason I don't get up there. I need a seat, At some point, I'm sitting down.
Typically, you can sit there. I mean, if Kenny Chesney had been there would have been plenty of places to sit on the lawn. But it was Jimmy Buffett, so there weren't.
Right. I've seen a couple shows there, but we've always had seats, But I was told that years ago. That's where you sit if you're gonna smoke pot. So I guess they don't come out there and harass those people. But with edibles like they are, I don't even understand the smoking pot stuff anymore. Yeah, I don't know who will. It's getting where you and I don't have many people we like to listen to, much less go see anymore. So I don't know how much longer the music world will hold out.
Well, the great thing about it is we've got them immortalized in recording and YouTube and everything else now.
Well, and that's the cool thing about what these computers and YouTube and things like that are, is that it's forever. What goes into a computer's forever. So if somebody makes a video, like I've been doing with these older guys at the coffee shops, those videos are forever. So, and some of their grandkids are following them, which is cool. That these grandkids and great grandkids and things are seeing their relatives doing what they enjoy doing now. They can see it no matter where they are in the world. Hey, while I'm thinking about it and talking about people seeing stuff, need to give a big shout out to Kevin Windham. He's sheriff of Shelby County, Texas. Also, he's Brother Kevin Wyndham. He pastors a church up there. I don't know. I don't know what the name of the church is. I'll try to find out. But he used to pastor a church here in Hemphill. How Adam and I got familiar with him. So he just had a double lung transplant. He's doing really well. He got to skip going from you go from ICU to like a step down ICU and then to a room. And he actually got to skip going to ICU, the step down ICU, I believe. So he's doing real well, and they did a benefit for him up in Shelby County. But if you'd like to help out, those things, double lung transplant probably gonna run. I don't know, man. I'd say $500,000 to $1 million by the time they're through. So if you want to donate something or help out, you can contact the Shelby County Sheriff's Department up there in Center, Texas, and they will be glad to help you out. So I just want to pass that along because I know he would be listening. He's going to be listening. And I'm kind of worried, Adam, was looking at our Facebook and everything and found out that my high school English teacher, Donna Horn, she's following our Facebook page, man. And if she's listening to this, I'm pretty sure she's embarrassed at the way I talk and put sentences together.
Little buddy, I can only run so much interference for you.
I understand. I understand.
It'd be like me trying to do the math, man. It is what it is.
Well, I heard a new nickname for me and you yesterday.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that we can pick up if we'd like. The duo of stupidity.
Ouch. It hurt.
But you hurt because it's partially true.
Oh, I didn't deny it. I didn't deny it.
The duo of stupidity. Yeah.
It is a big old thank the Lord on the brother Kevin thing. I mean that's a blessing. But whoever.
Yeah, I always kind of picked him about being a little bit of a dandy because he dressed. He dressed real nice when he comes to church. I mean, he's always in a suit and tie. And Sister Brenda, his wife, beautiful lady. She dresses. She lays it. Y'all don't tell him I told you this, but she lays his clothes out for him, even when he works at the sheriff's department. So, hey, I ain't knocking it, man. I'm just saying. But
I ain't either.
He makes sure he's dressed really nice. Everything matches. I mean, it's great. Well, I always kind of picked at him a little bit about being a dandy or something. Messing with him about his tie colors and hey, that's not too far over the line, man. But I'm gonna tell you something, bud. I'm not gonna pick at him no more.
Right.
Anybody goes in for a double lung transplant and they're doing that well, and they're not being loaded up with morphine every day and this and that. Nah.
They gotta be tough.
He's out of my league, I can tell you that. So, but yeah, him and Sister Brenda they're just good people, And if anybody decides they want to help, that's, man, it's all appreciated. You think, well, my part can't help much, but you'd be shocked how little things can help. So, what a blessing. Amanda went last night to Bonita to see the Hoosier brothers. And I know you think I'm saying that wrong because I thought I was saying it wrong. And I've been corrected enough that's why they call them Hoosier Daddy. That's their thing, Hoosier Daddy. Yeah, their marketing's not that great. They got a couple of good songs though. Really, I'm not going to bash them too hard. I did ask for interview if I could get them an interview before or after the show for the podcast. They never got back with me, which I understand. We don't have that many followers and things, but they Amanda went, and I don't think she made it till the point where they came out. Those shows don't start till 10, and they had an opening act, which she really wanted to see, and now she's feeling bad also. Her and I both have allergies real bad right now. So thanks to Adam for making me get up early for this. But she went and she came home early. She said she felt like she wasted her money on a ticket, because she didn't feel good. But she said that she said there wasn't maybe 30, 40 people there last night. So man, you got to support live music. If you don't, it's gonna go away. You know, I see you sitting there giving me that look like I'm off on my tangent, but I mean that may be. But
No, I was just thinking. I mean, 30 or 40 people is not a.
they're not. You won't get many more gigs over there like that. You know it, and I know it.
No, not.
And they're better than that. They should have had a better turnout than that. Like I said, they've got some good songs. Not everything's the greatest heard.
But Saturday night, right?
Well, Saturday night in Nacogdoches, and football season started.
Football night.
And look, you and I, we're more of the music geeks than we were football fans, right? We've been called names before because of our love of music and poetry and things, but you would think there'd be more than 30 or 40 people there. And like I said, these guys are better than that. They deserve better than that, in my opinion. And they're from Waco, man. You got to give them a chance being from Waco. That's where Billy Joe and Eddie Shaver's from. So,
that's it.
You got to give them a shot.
The place. That's the place.
I mean, that's the heart of Texas, as far as I'm concerned. So, man, I kind of was hoping they'd have a better turnout than that.
Hate there wasn't a better turnout.
Yeah, so, and I know Bonita, Bonita's not a bad place to go see people. They keep it pretty calm in there. There's not a lot of fighting and going on or nothing like that. But I know that scene's not for everybody to go to a club or a bar. But, if you don't support live music, local music, it will go away. And thing is, once it goes away, it's twice as hard to get back. So, I mean, look at your area down there, man. You're from, I would say, a musical mecca.
Yeah, but we got a little bit of nothing that goes on. And then
that's what I'm talking about.
Support. If you want to see live music, you just about have to go to one of the restaurants, which is not disappointing, but it's also not ideal for the musicians.
Well, okay, you're right. And I don't mind now going to a restaurant to watch music and listen to music because I can afford to go in and eat and everything. But, when you're young and maybe starting out, you and your girlfriend or your wife, you go in there to Tia Juanita's, man, you drop $80 on a meal. Golly, you can go see somebody at the Woodlands.
Yep.
So there's a lot to be said for.
And then you're not going to get to see the whole set unless you're willing to sit there and buy drinks all night.
Exactly, because they want to move you in and out of them tables and booths.
Yeah.
And so I don't blame them for that. That's their business. But
it's just not a good experience. Now, what I will say is sometimes you run across somebody that's really an excellent talent that's playing at restaurants, man. It's like me and
really do.
We went to a Mexican food restaurant, weren't expecting a show or anything, and there was a lady there, and where were we at? It was the Plaquemine area. Plaquemine, Louisiana area.
It sure was. We went, it was actually up in Addis, I believe is what it is, but it's right outside of Plaquemine on Highway 1. Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
You're right, I forgot about that.
How many talented people are right in your neighborhood, and they play guitar and sing by themselves down there at the restaurant every night.
Yeah, I mean, and one good place down there where you are, where's the place we used to like to go over there? Over behind the Chick-fil-A in Beaumont. Don't give me that look like that. You know exactly where I'm talking about.
The Chick-fil-A.
Little restaurant where we got our butt kicked at trivia that night.
Oh, you're talking about. Hey, but that's probably about all for this week. We just want to encourage everyone to like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We got some videos on there. Been posting a few blooper videos. I'm apparently Mr. Windowblinds, and this is John, Mr. Ceiling Fan, for one of the people on the thing, TikTok. Anyway, yeah, TikTok's an interesting place, man. Check us out on our website. It's rss.com/podcasts/Last Hobos Ramble. You can listen to us on any of your favorite platforms, and please don't hesitate to review us. That just doesn't do anything but help us out. And let us know what you want us to talk about. We'll take advice even, but we were doing this because it's something we're enjoying. We get to talk about stuff we like, and we want to help you have a good time too. So let us know what we could do better, what we could talk about, what you'd like to hear.
Or if there's someone you'd like for us to interview, someone's an interesting character or has an interesting job, something like that, you send us their name and referrals, how we can get in touch with them. And we'd be glad to have some people to talk about different things with on here. And we're pretty much open to any subject, as long as it stays inside that family-friendly atmosphere. Hey, if you don't fit in anywhere else, come hang out with us.
How it goes. Roll down the windows, turn up the radio. Just kick back and ride real slow.